right outside of right on the border of my district is the Suncor oil refinery. There's 53,000 people that live within a 3-mile radius of that refinery, and that includes over 5,000 children under 5 years old who are particularly susceptible to air toxins. The neighborhood that's the closest to the refinery, Elyria Swansea, has a population that's over 80% Latino, with over 25% of the residents living with incomes below the property line. And as you know, these characteristics are pretty common for neighborhoods that are nearby industrial facilities. So I wanted to ask you, would you agree that while security is important for all chemical facilities, additional considerations like mitigation are necessary when you're dealing with urban facilities with large populations living right nearby? Security is not the only issue that these institutions or that these refineries and others are facing.
Well, sure. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
And one thing that happened over at Suncor, we've had problems with interruptions from the external power supply. And as you know, even brief disruptions to the power supply can cause harmful chemical emissions. In October 2016, the Suncor refinery suffered an accidental power failure that led to release of a yellow cloud of smoke, which closed the highway and caused 14 local schools to go into lockdown. And then they had a second power outage in March 2017, which released more than 500 pounds of sulfur dioxide gas and 100 pounds of hydrogen sulfide gas. So my question is I know you look a little puzzled but I'm wanting to know, is power supply security a consideration when the Department of Homeland Security considers site security plans submitted by high-risk facilities?
So yes, the power supply is certainly something to be considered, and also considering what contingencies are in place is certainly important from a security perspective when the power goes out. Okay.
Does DHS have specific recommendations for providing a secure power supply under CFATS?
I'll get back to you, on that, certainly.
Okay. Now, DHS is not allowed to disapprove of a site security plan because it lacks specific security measures. Is that right?
That is correct. It's a non-prescriptive program, so we work with facilities to assess what sort of makes sense and meets the intent of the relevant risk-based performance standards.
So would you consider a facility secure if it suffered a significant chemical release due to a brief power outage? Or would that show that this facility might be susceptible to deliberate disruption? Would you look at that?
It would be something we would look at, certainly.
Now, the CFATS program is intended to protect chemical facilities from terrorist attacks. Is that right?
That is correct, to protect against terrorist attack or exploitation. The majority of the facilities we have in the program that have been designated at high risk are designated as such owing to the threat of theft or diversion of chemicals and they're being taken off-site and deployed.
So the Suncor refinery incidents I talked about before caused by accidental power outages, they would be included in the scope of the program, though, right? Power outages that are causing chemical releases?
Yeah, I mean, that is the power situation and resilience in the face of power, ensuring that security systems
now, what about emissions caused by
negligence,
natural disasters, or other types of actions? That would not be included.
That is not within our purview, but, as I've mentioned here, many of the measures that we require to be put in place through CFATS, such as the conduct of training, exercise, the development of response plans are applicable in both the natural disaster context or,
They would have that potential spillover effect, right?
Right, okay. A complementary
Mr. Chairman, the reason why I bring this up is because I think it's security is really important to me, but there are so many other issues. I would hope that we can also come to bipartisan agreement on how we address these toxic releases, because in my district and many other districts in the country, people are living right next to these plants, and even if it's not a terrorist attack or a natural disaster, they're at risk of contamination every day. So I would hope that would be another issue that we could work on in this committee. Thank you, and I yield back.